Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, so I'm so sorry it was hard to connect with me. It's been crazy lately.
Oh, I have no doubt. I'm just so honored that you would make the time at all. So I
No,
don't
honored that you're doing this. This is so cool.
I've watched so many of your interviews and I've read your book, which was absolutely gut wrenching, and I had to put it down several times. And I just thought if ever I did an interview with Theresa, I wouldn't even ask her to recount her story because she's done it so many times. What I would love to know is more of the how did God present himself to you, and how has your relationship with God impacted the whole thing? So those are the questions that I have for you this morning.
I love those kind of questions.
Good. One of the first questions I have for you is, at what point in your life did you encounter the love of God, and how did your relationship with him impact your healing process?
Oh gosh. I when I look back, I think that I always had a really good foundation and good relationship with the Lord. I was very, I'd say, faithful, even as a child. My mom used to read me these books about saints and God, and I just loved it. I thought even as I got older that I might even, go into some sort of clergy type work, or just something that was faith filled. But then I discovered boys and that changed. And but I know that even during my darkest hours, I always prayed to God and spoke to him and cried to him and reached out to him in my angst. And I always felt that he was alongside with me. Like I never felt abandoned. And yeah, so that I think is maybe unusual, especially for a child going through some horrific things. But I feel, and then of course it just has gotten much deeper as I've gotten older and sought out amazing people in my life to lead me in a faithful way. But I think that I always had him with me.
What is one of the ways that you've seen his redemption?
I love that word, redemption. It's almost just takes you from that horrible place that you can't get any lower, right? And lifts you right up to just to his glory. I know it happened for me after I got out of trafficking, I really struggled. I didn't have the support system, I didn't have counseling, I didn't have all the things that we know survivors need to heal, and I didn't have any of that. But like I said, I never gave up my faith, so I did have that, thankfully. But then I got into a domestic violence marriage for 10 years that was pretty horrific. When I realized that I am a daughter of God, like I am his daughter, he is my father, and everything changed for me. And I realized at that instant that he didn't want any of these bad things to happen to me. He doesn't want me to be in this, abusive relationship. He wants the best for me. He wants all goodness for me, like, any father would. And really, that changed my whole perspective. And it really started my relationship with Christ.
What is one of the kindest things the Lord has spoken to you,
Hmm.
whether it's directly, like just through a word of knowledge, or through a person? Like, what's been one of the kindest things spoken over you in
Hmm.
your journey?
Gosh, of course, so many. But instantly comes to mind, I was doing a retreat and I just, kept hearing, "You are enough."
Mm.
And just, over and over again until I believed it. That younger child, that little Teresa, and all throughout my life, never believing that. And then hearing your father, in essence, say that you are enough just the way that you are. Just all the shame, all of the, everything fell away.
Mhm.
and quite miraculously, because I don't carry shame, which a lot of survivors do, because I do feel that this was something that happened to me. And sure, I made decisions, I had options, but I didn't believe that at the time. So miraculously, I don't carry any shame with that, and I know that's because of the grace of God.
So talk to me about like what you've been up to in terms of the restorative work the Lord's given you to do. It's incredible. I'd love to know what you're doing right now and maybe some of your future goals if you have.
Yeah, I love the restorative work. I mean, obviously, I love doing the soap outreaches and looking for missing kids that are being trafficked and are vulnerable. But really, the restorative part is kind of the part that surprised me, that God called me to take on. And To date, I've done 11 retreats for survivors of trafficking. So over several hundred survivors have come to our retreats that are free, completely free for them. There's no other retreat in the country that will fly them there, that will take care of everything. And we did that because we want to remove any barriers to healing that there are. And we accept anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter what your faith is, doesn't matter, how you were trafficked or any of that. And so we just want to be there. To me, the weekends are a lot about like how Jesus was with the Samaritan woman, or just, where he just loves everybody unconditionally. And that's the message that I always want them to get from the weekend, is that you are loved. And it might seem so simple to some people to hear that, but it's really complex for those that have never had that.
Yeah.
Um, and for those that have been betrayed, by the closest people in their life. And which we have a lot of survivors that have been trafficked by their family. And so we hope to create a new family for them. And so we're getting ready to do our first ever all male survivor retreat in a couple weeks. And um, is it the same? Do men go through the same things that the women do? I don't know. So it's going to be really a learning experience for me as well. So I just got back from Canada, and we did a retreat for some Canadian survivors who were Indigenous.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and so just, God is really opening up these doors, people saying, hey, we would like to hold a retreat for survivors. Can you help us do this? And it's just amazing to see this domino effect going on.
How can my listening audience come around you and my community? Like, what do you need? How can we love you and bless you in this?
I mean, well, obviously donations are really important. That's all that keeps us going. We don't have any kind of federal or state grants. It's that this ministry has been going on for over 10 years solely on the generosity of people giving, and wanting to see this atrocity stop, and wanting to help survivors heal. So obviously donations. Prayer is a huge, huge thing. We get so much spiritual warfare. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
So we have a retreat in 2 weeks. We need people to start praying for everything, for safe travel, for protection around their families. The Super Bowl is coming up. We have hundreds of people coming together in Phoenix to get out there and look for these missing kids. So a prayer around that is important. So it's really just, prayer, donations. We love when people, buy a case of makeup remover wipes and label it with their Bible study or their group or their family, and then donate it back for an outreach. Or even just writing some kind notes to survivors to keep them going, and we'll send those to them. So simple things like that as well.
If you could say one thing, if there's like one overarching theme message for people that have gone through what you've gone through, like if you had the microphone for 10 seconds, what
Uh,
would you say?
there is hope, there is so much joy that's out there, and don't be afraid to look for it. But I do believe the only way that you can find it is through your relationship with God. Like, really, that's truly the only way to get that wholeness of healing. And just, again, like, you are loved, because that's what the message was that I received that changed me.
Well,
Yeah.
girl, you are so stunning and such a deep honor to be in your presence. I've wept over you so many times. And so this moment means way more to me than I know it probably means to you.
Oh, no, I'm so humbled and honored, and just, yeah. Oh gosh. Thank you for doing that, and taking my story and feeling it, and yeah. Thank you.